Okay, on to the top 5 fails. To me, these are more important than the top 5 successes, if you will, or the great things, simply because, as an owner slash user, this is what you have to deal with until you either pay the car off and or sell it or trade it in. So obviously the good things, just like in life, hey, sometimes you take advantage of the good things, you just expect them to be there, but the bad things really stick out to you like sore thumbs, and a lot of these bad things, in my opinion, actually stick out to me, and it's just always something that I think about at this point when I sit in the car. But maybe a year from now I won't have this, I won't actually think about it. Number 5, the adaptive, or I guess it's called the luxury seating package. I'm not going to tell you not to buy it. I will tell you it has done nothing for me. This leg extender right there, I'm not sure if it's something associated with the height, but I will tell you I could extend that thing out and I can't feel it. It does nothing to my legs. So I'm not sure if there's a certain height that it's beneficial to. I'm not a tall guy. I'm right at 6 foot, but I can push that thing all the way out and it would not touch it wouldn't touch my legs. So for me, does nothing. For my wife, maybe it's beneficial to her. But then the other part of the luxury seating package is there's some little massagers. The button is actually activated on the door. That far button on the left, that's kind of by itself. You press that and then there's like a subtle massage, which is decent maybe for some, but for me, when I use this, the 2 times that I've used it, it was on long road trips, 3 to 4 hour road trips, and I thought, hey, you know what, it'd be great to use this right now, so let's, so I could keep circulation going and maybe my butt wouldn't feel so sore, I guess. And it's just not strong enough. There's not enough power to actually, for me to even call it a massage. Now, I know you probably wouldn't want to have a deep tissue massage going on while you're driving, because it probably puts you in a situation where you may create an accident, actually slip on the gas or press on something, I don't know, or it hits a nerve or something like that and puts you in a bad situation. But I think they should have power settings for this, like 1, 2. Hey, I'm not a big guy, so I'm not sure if I was heavier, would it make a difference, or if I was lighter, would it make a difference, anything like that. But for me, right now, it doesn't work, and for my wife, it doesn't really work, or it hasn't worked up to this point. The number 4 thing that I think is a fail is this console. I'm not sure why this thing is so big, but you see the size of this thing. It looks big. The pillar itself is huge, but then this is the only space you get. So you get a USB port, an auxiliary in port, and then a AC DC adapter, and then you get this snap-in thing. And I think this is actually worthless, because if you don't have the phone that goes with this, or say for instance if you have a larger phone, it's just not going to work sitting right there. So I thought that they could have, I don't know, I thought that was a waste of space. And then there's really no additional functionality outside of this. You just get to throw stuff in there. And then for this, for the control panel, I get it. They want to put stuff there, but hell, the way these cars are nowadays, I just think they should all be buttons. I don't even see why you have a gear shifter anymore, because it's not like you're actually using it. You just put, park, reverse, neutral, drive, all buttons, somewhere up here in the front or up here on the rest of the control panel, and call it a day. I don't even see the point in putting a gear shifter there anymore, because it's not like you're actually shifting the car in any aspect. So I think they could have saved space by making this portion right here a lot more compact, and then adding space for the interior portion of the console, if you will. And then I'm not even going to talk about that part yet. And then number 3, the memory seating. The memory seating, I don't know why we have had such horrible experiences with it. Maybe we're just idiots, but it should be fairly easy to me. When I jump into my Lexus, even if the car doesn't have to be on, I can open the door and press 1, and the seats are just going to move to the number 1 setting, to the memory for number 1 setting. The same thing with number 2. My wife likes that. If we're running, and on this car, we're actually running different profiles right now. So I'm using my profile, so I'm set as number 1. For her, she's set as number 1 under her profile. When we switch the profiles, it's like it's confusing to the car or something. So when she jumps in here and she presses number 1, the seat doesn't move. Even though she's set it. It's a fairly simple process. You press M and the number, and then the light will go away, and that's how you know it's set. But it doesn't work, especially when you're changing profiles. And then there's something like there's an issue if you leave the seat in a different position. I can't even really explain it, but if you leave the seat in a different position and then you come in and you press either your 1 or your 2, it inches forward. It's like it wants to move, but then it doesn't actually move, or it doesn't move all the way to your position setting. So you have to hold the button down, and then it'll actually go to your setting. So I'm not sure what's going on with it, but it's not a simple process if you're using profiles. I'm not sure why. Yeah, again, maybe it's a problem in chair, user error, but not, and maybe it's not a system error. But I will tell you, from a ease of use standpoint, it's not as easy as it should be. So to me, that's a fail. The number 2 fail is the front-facing cameras and the top surround sound cameras. I'm not sure if you can see this, but that is the surround sound, or I said surround sound. That is the surround view camera right there. It's not a fail to me, but I will just say that you have to look for reasons or look for applications. So the only application I found is if I want to measure myself in a parking line. But other than that, I mean, it doesn't, I don't really see the value in it. But so I gave it a number 2, or I gave it the second fail. But more importantly, the front-facing camera. That's the front-facing camera right there. There's a camera on just about every angle of the, or I'm sorry, there's about 8 to 9 cameras all around the car. But there's 2 cameras on the front left and the front right of the car that allow you to actually see, I would say probably anywhere between 30 and 90 degrees, 30 and 90 degrees out. So if there was a car coming up right now, I'd actually be able to see it. So I do think that's pretty cool. And so you can see that. But where I think there's a fail is there's no depth. So as, say for instance, if I was actually to drive this car forward, and out here we have a lot of tow booths. As you get closer to the wall in the tow booth, I could actually cut this camera on to see, but all you would see is the wall. You have no idea how close you are. Like, hey, you got an inch before you're paying, for some body work. Or, hey, you got 3 or 4 inches, so you can actually get closer. Because if you experience toll booths, you got to get as close as possible to reach out and pay the person. So where I think they failed at is the fact that the cameras are not tied to the, I call them radars. I don't know what BMW actually calls them, but the sensors that you have on the rear. So I'm actually driving forward right now, so you can see me driving forward. So hey, if somebody was coming, you'd actually be able to see that. So you see, I'm really close to this pillar on the right hand side. I can't tell if I'm gonna hit it or not, but the same sensors that are in the back of the car that tell me, hey, you're getting pretty close, buddy, to this pillar right here. You might want to start, to plan not to hit this thing. I think they should be on the front of the car. I also think there should be a camera right in the center of the car, that tells me, hey, you're getting pretty close to this parking block, for the lack of a better word, but the things that, that line up the parking spots. I'd like to know how close I am. I don't like to drive over the top of them. I'd like to know how close I am. So I think they should have put sensors on those cameras as well, or sensors coupled with those cameras as well, to say, hey, you're getting pretty close. Now watch this. Actually, that was a pretty good mark right there. I'm going to show you a little bit better what I'm talking about in the front. The car right now is showing you the reverse cameras. I'm actually in drive and going forward, and you can tell that because I'm getting close, or I'm getting further away from the white line. Now you see, I'm going forward right now. As I'm backing up, I'm in reverse right now. As I'm backing up, you see off on the right, you see my radar, as I call it. It's actually telling me that there's something next to me. Now, with my front-facing cameras, I don't get that. You know, I don't get the radar. I don't even get the sensor or anything to that nature. And so as I back this car up, you know, the sensor will actually show me, hey, something's close to you, while I'm going forward. And I understand that's because I could be parallel parking or something like that. But I think that same action should take place as I'm going forward. When I'm when I'm going forward, I think I should get that same feature, you know, where it says, hey, you're pretty close to this block here. You might want to get ready to stop and or get your checkbook out, something of that nature. So that's why I said number 2 is the parking or the front-facing camera, because it's, you know, you really have to search for applications again, and it's really you know, trying to spy out on the road. I think there's some application if if you're in a situation where you need to poke your car out, poke the nose of your car out, for lack of a better word, to see if there's oncoming traffic. I think it's beneficial in that aspect, but I think it could have been more useful if BMW would have tied that into the sensors in the front and probably put another camera in the center of the car, just so you can actually have, you know, more assurance on what you're doing with the front of your car, the nose of your car, like, hey, I'm about to hit this, so I need to stop, that sort of thing. And then the worst feature right now at 90 days in my top 5 fails are the cup holders. You can watch the cup holder video. I hate the location, I hate the size, I hate the scope of the cup holders. You see, we actually use them right now because we don't like them. We actually use them just to hold the scent, the scent cans, because there's a lot of stuff that can actually fit in there. I just did a video on that, so there's a lot of stuff that can fit in there. But if you're using anything that has a handle, or say you have a fast food cup and it's larger than a medium, it's probably not going to fit. And if it does fit, like it has a handle or something like that, it's going to get caught up right here. So it's actually going to go at an angle. And then the more important part is, because of the placement with it right up on the panel, when you actually put something in there, you block out your side of the panel. So if you're a driver, you know, it just creates another distraction. So that's my top 5 fails, my top 5 successes at the 90-day mark. For me, overall grading on performance, I'm going to say A+. I like the engine. I like the all-wheel drive factor. Obviously, because of all-wheel drive, I can't do any drifting or anything like that. But I like the feel. I've driven Audi all-wheel drive, so I just got used to it. I won't buy a car. I won't buy a vehicle, actually, if it doesn't have all-wheel drive. Whether it's a car and or a truck, I got to get, you know, at least 4-wheel drive in some aspects. So that's just me, and that's, you know, from having my first German all-wheel drive experience. I thought it was awesome. The design and styling, I say A-. Again, I like the style. I love the hood. The hood is very aggressive. The face is very aggressive. But the size of the car, I think it needs to be a little bit bigger. I know that kind of goes against, you know, having the ultimate driver as far as, you know, making it into a boat. But I think the trunk is so big that they ate up space in the interior of the car. And the hood, you know, I mean, they jam-packed everything in the engine compartment. But, you know, that makes up the car, if you will. The hood area is probably 5 to 6 feet of the car already. But I think, you know, from a design standpoint, because this is a sportier model, being the MSport version, you know, it's hard to tell the difference between the 3 Series. A lot of people say, hey, that's a nice 3 Series, you know, and sometimes I wonder if they know it, or if they're just, you know, if they're actually saying it in honesty. But they did a pretty good job. BMW did a good job this year with actually changing the lights on the 3 Series. So if you know about BMWs, you can tell the difference. Otherwise, you know, from a profile standpoint, they're pretty similar. And then a functionality standpoint, I gave it I skipped one. So